Welcome back to Vintage Family Recipes. Tonight, we're scooting back to 24 pies men like. It's finally in season, and I was able to get some at Central Market. So tonight, I'm going to make a rhubarb pie. I'm also going to make a different crust than usual, and I'm making it gluten-free and small because I'm the only one that eats gluten-free, and I think I might be the only one in the house that actually likes rhubarb. So there's no reason for me to make a big pie. I've already sort of started. I have my 1.5 cups of flour, my half a teaspoon of salt, and my half a cup of shortening cubed. I'm going to mix that together first, and then we'll take the next step. I now have my flour and shortening nicely together. Now I'm going to add in between 4 and 5 tablespoons of water. I'm actually going to start with 3 and see what that looks like. And then I'll decide if I need to add 1 or 2 more. It does need to be a little bit moister than it is, so I am going to add more water. There we go. I personally find working with gluten-free flour for a pie crust to be difficult, and I don't know if it's just because I haven't done it enough or if it really is this difficult. Time will tell, because I'm sure there's other pies in 24 pies men like that the men in my house won't like, and so I'll be making them gluten-free, or it's going to be something that I am just so desperate to try myself that I will make it gluten-free and they can eat it or not. Sprinkle some flour down. And I use Bob's 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. I know there's other flours out there. It's just the one that I personally like the most. So it's the one that I use. Flour on here. Flour all over my board. Or my mat, I should say. Go. Does seem to crumble easier than a regular crust. The gluten-free crust does. We're gonna give it our best go here. Get this rolled out as evenly and as thinly as possible. And make sure it stays rounded to the best of its ability. Definitely big enough. Okay, so I'm going to peel this piece off, put it to the side, put this in the center. It up and flip it. There we go. Oh, and it's still cracked. It cracked horribly, which I am not surprised. I really don't know how people do this successfully, day in and day out with gluten-free. Maybe that's why most bakeries don't even make gluten-free pies. I have fixed my holes where it cracked as I picked it up. I am going to get better at this with gluten-free. Going to get my rhubarb out. I have chopped up my rhubarb already. I am going to cut the amount down because I'm making a small pie. If you're making the full-size pie, it says to use a cup of sugar, 3 tablespoons of flour, an egg, and 2 cups of rhubarb, which is what I'm not going to do. So I am going to put the flour and the sugar together, and then I'm going to add the egg. So I actually use 2 tablespoons of flour, and I'm going to put in sugar as well. I'm going to put in a generous ½ cup of sugar. Crack my egg. There's my egg, nice and mixed in with my flour and my sugar. And now I'm going to mix my rhubarb in. I'm going to start with a cup. And then if it looks like I need a little bit more, I will do so. But first I actually need to poke some holes in the bottom of my crust. Mix in the rhubarb. I'm going to put a little bit more rhubarb in here. Not a lot, just a little bit. I had 4½ cups to start. I'm down to 2½. Go. Here we go. There we go. Let's get this all the way in. Perfect. It's nice and full, which is what I wanted. So if you're making a small deep dish, it does look like you need about 1½ cups instead of just a cup if you want a nice full pie. They're a little cold, which is what I wanted. One, two. I really don't feel like I can do much more because of how small the pie plate is, but we're gonna see. Falling apart even now. That's not good. Yeah, as I pick them up, they are completely falling apart in my hand. But we're still going to give it a good old try. I am going to seal the lattice to the best way possible. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to put it under here because at least it's held together. I am going to put a milk wash on top of this, and I'm also going to turn my oven on. This says a quick oven, so 400 degrees, and I believe it's 30 minutes, but I will check that, for 35 minutes. So I'm going to set my oven, and then I'm going to milk wash my pie. I'm going to use this to brush, I'm going to use this leftover milk to brush on it. And then I will be putting a little bit of sugar on top and placing it in the oven once the oven is ready. So I'm going to do just a little bit of a milk wash in the hopes that that also helps set the crust together better. I know the last time I did a gluten-free crust, the lattice work came out better than the non-gluten-free. This time, not as much, but it should still look okay because I'm using the milk. Tres leches milk, if you're wondering, is sweetened condensed milk. It is evaporated milk, and it is heavy cream, all mixed together. I'm going to take some of my decorating sugar, and I am going to sprinkle this on top of the crust. I like to just put some in my hand, and then I just slowly run it between my fingers to get it on top of the crust. But I definitely don't shake this sugar. If I was using regular sugar, I would shake it, but not this sugar. Last little bit right here. And now we will get ready to put this in the oven. Cook well, little pie, cook well. It has been 30 minutes. And it looks wonderful. So I'm glad I put tin foil under it because it did leak a little bit. So now I don't have to clean my refrigerator. Iggy Pop, move your tail. Oh, and it is still leaking a little bit, but that's okay. There we go. And that is the sweetened condensed milk that's leaking. It's time for the taste test. Andrew has never had a rhubarb pie. So I will remind people, rhubarb is an acquired taste. I don't think there's anybody who's like, oh, it's okay. I think it's either, oh, I love rhubarb, or oh my God, I'll never eat that. So he's being brave to try this. And it's gluten-free crust. So here we go. It's not that warm. Oh, it bubbled.
It's bleeding.
No, it's not bleeding, it's bubbling. There's a difference.
I want to preface this with the crust is good.
Okay.
So if someone likes rhubarb, they'd probably like it. I put it in my mouth and I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. And then the longer it was in my mouth, the less I liked it.
I told you it's an acquired taste.
It ain't for me, Chief.
That's okay.
This ain't it.
I will eat the whole thing by myself. Not tonight, though. So, thank you for watching. If you decide to make this and you make it small, I would definitely, if I was doing this again, I would do one of two things. I would add the full 3 tablespoons of water. I'm sorry, not water. He's pouring water. The full 3 tablespoons of flour, even though I cut it down, the amount down. I would also cover the pie and let it cook for about 10 more minutes. I'd cover it with tin foil so that the crust didn't overcook any more than it was already cooked, because it's good, but the inside could be firmer. So either more flour or longer time with tin foil on top. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Hit a like, leave us a comment, and we'll see you next time on Vintage Family Recipes.